Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
Just take
Yeah.
a roll call.
All right. So Ed,
Ed's here. Hi.
Eric's here. Hi. Kristen? She's muted. She's driving, so she's here. And Lisa's not in the roll
I'm here.
call. Yes. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
All right. So, and John Racine is here at the meeting. We would like to welcome Kristen as the new member.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, Rick is waiting for another link, so I'm gonna send that to him right this minute. So hang on, people. He did get it, but I'll send it again.
I cannot see him in the waiting room, Eric.
He emailed me just this moment. Okay.
Is he having a problem?
Yeah, he needs a link to the Zoom. Do you have it quickly, or should I look for mine?
I got it right here.
Okay. And you have his address?
Yep.
All right.
I just sent it to him.
Thank you very much. Okay, so
I'll wait till he comes in. Oh, there he is.
all right, great. There he is. Okay. Hi, Rick. Unmute
Muted.
yourself.
The one agenda didn't have the link and I found it on the town website, so we're all set.
Oh, aren't you creative? Okay. Nice to see you again.
You too. Although all I see are your beautiful hibiscus or
Oh.
whatever that is.
Oh, silly me. Okay. All right. Do you remember?
There you are.
Hey.
Hi, Eric.
All right.
Lisa, hi. Mark.
So, yeah, so we just welcomed Kristen Taylor, but you can't see her face.
No.
We
Hi,
had two,
Kristen.
yeah, we had two people leave the Conservation Commission in August for
Yeah.
different reasons. And since you've been here, Ed Lucente is new. You can't
Okay.
see him.
No.
He'll-
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Hi,
there you
Ed.
go. Hey.
How are you?
How are you?
Okay.
I like your haircut.
Likewise.
Yes.
Back at you.
Okay, so today, as is written in the agenda, Rick will discuss with us the pros and cons of Greenbelt designation. And Rick, I don't think you need to discuss easement with us unless you have something.
Well, I have a few
Pertinent.
thoughts. Yeah, I
You
have a few thoughts
thoughts?
about that, but
Okay,
okay,
we do want to hear it then. Yes.
yeah. Now, are you the host, Ira, or Mark, maybe?
Mark is our host.
If he
and-
allowed me to share a screen, I could sort of,
Okay.
you know.
Oh, he's running upstairs. okay.
Sorry about that, Mark.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's got to share a screen. I should have known that.
We can come up there in your office.
No, no, it's too tiny, too tiny. Okay, so just quickly, the other
Yeah.
day we had a chance to do a field trip on that parcel. So
Okay.
John was with us and Ed
Okay.
and Mark.
Yep.
So I think they're working at refining the lines with the owner. So
Yeah.
that's all I know.
And
about the
when you say refining the lines, do you mean clarifying the boundaries of that
Yes,
parcel?
yes, clarifying
Okay.
the boundaries.
Yep.
And we did bring the easement information. I haven't had a chance to really
Okay, Rick.
study the,
You can share your screen now.
Okay,
okay,
great. So I wanted to bring up the parcel in question with a couple of the natural resource overlays on it. And I think it's useful to sort of start at the baseline. Of course, this is what the tax map shows. Here in green is the lot itself going along Snows Brook, along Valley Road, and then obviously abutting two of the other former Waterville Valley Estates lots, with a trail system that sort of dips into it here, goes right by the iron rebar. Well, it's actually, I think, a pipe actually in this corner, and then continues down into town. So there's, the topography, there's a bit of a ridge right here next to the river. It's probably an old delta ridge, and then it drops into sort of a basin swamp, which again, showing the surface water map, you can see it aggregates into a kind of a wet area here. And that, of course, will have effects on whether or not, where a trail system might be, or whether or not dredge spoils from taking dredge materials out of Cochrane Pond would be able to be applied here. The state doesn't allow any dredge spoils to be placed in wetlands or in surface waters, and they actually have a setback for streams of this size that would require sort of placement of those dredge spoils farther away from the pond. So there might be a little bit of an access issue, because of course we'd have to go in through this area and then cross a stream and then drive material over in this vicinity of a lot that's got moderately well-drained soils in there. So that's one of the considerations you asked me to think about it. And, in short, because of the size of the lot, its placement along Snows Brook, the fact that it is within a floodplain, and when we click on the, let's see if I can find it here easily. We click on the aquifer transmissivity layer, you'll see that the entire lot's within the 2,000 acre feet per day stratified drift aquifer. At least it's mapped as such. And so that's something that would also have a bearing on whatever you do on the surface of the property that might impede or impact material or water going into that aquifer. So for instance, if there was any kind of aggregation of contaminants in the dredge spoils, you wouldn't want to put it there. So aside from the, when you tally it up, it's kind of clear to me that you want to keep this out of the sort of realm of possibilities for applying dredge spoils from Cochrane Pond. That's just my, humble opinion on the sort of environmental side of things. Relative to trails, it's got a trail on, and of course, this trail could be rerouted if it turns out that this lot gets any other kind of consideration, like the use of this for forest access purposes, which I believe the Forest Service has a right to use. So if this gets to be a challenge for skiing or foot trails, there is an option to create another trail route through this lot with a smaller bridge that can connect to town. So there's, I think, some good potential for increasing the recreational value of that lot, and that would be in keeping, of course, with the standards required for Greenbelt designation. And I think it'd be a good argument to make with the planning board, to rezone this for Greenbelt because of that potential for use as a recreational site. And that trail, in terms of, what you do on the trail, obviously the principal use of trails in the valley is cross-country skiing and for summer hiking and so forth. But there's some pretty good forest ecology that could be, highlighted or accentuated with a trail system that goes through here that could be sort of a self-guided nature trail, for example. So there's that potential. And again, underscoring its value for public use as a recreational site, I think is sort of a no-brainer, but I would, use examples of that nature, activities like that to underscore its potential value as a greenbelt lot.
Mhm.
Well, that trail is already part of the maintained trail system for cross-country skiing and for mountain biking. It's already in the system.
Right. So, Mark, what about this? As I recall, this was more of a major roadway that came up through here.
No, that's not any different than the other part of the trail that goes across the town lot.
Okay.
And that's been rerouted now, so that it doesn't actually go in that. There's a house now on that lot.
On this lot.
Yes,
Yeah, this, whatever that one is.
and the house is
105,
located just below your
32B.
cursor, right in there.
right
The
in
house
here.
Itself is right there.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so that trail has been rerouted along the southern border.
Ah,
of
down in here?
32B, right there, yeah. So it
Okay.
takes a left right there. Go
Yep.
back towards the national forest boundary, right there. It now takes a left and it follows that lot line
mhm.
down the dog leg, no, to the west and then up to the north. See where the boundary goes?
This one?
Yeah, that boundary right there, it follows that boundary.
Okay. Okay. So that's
Yeah.
already established. So there'd be no sort of need, in other words, as I thought there might be, to relocate this trail onto
No.
this lot more formally.
Nope.
That's correct.
No,
Okay. That's
at
good
least not
information.
right now. The property owner and the resort have relocated the trail.
Okay. Okay, that's good information. So in terms of sort of the use of this property, again, I mentioned the potential for using it for dredge spoils from Cochrane Pond. And then recreationally, has the commission thought about, or in your sort of field site review this week, discussed other potential uses of the property that would be in keeping with the Greenbelt designation?
I don't think so.
Anything from the Conservation Commission?
I don't think we've talked about anything other than this sediment trap, whatever you call it, dredge spoils and.
Yep.
Well, it's not, Rick, it was never the intention to dredge anything out of the pond and deposit it on
Okay.
this lot.
Oh, okay.
The intent, and this is just
A thought.
not even a conceptual idea yet, because we haven't really talked to anyone like yourself about whether it is possible.
Yep.
And definitely no engineers have looked at the terrain or anything yet.
Yep.
But we were thinking about a pre-sedimentation basin,
Okay.
okay, where we would dredge out an area right along the pond, right along the stream.
Yep.
On this lot where sedimentation could occur. And then we would not have to get a dredge and fill permit for Corcoran's Pond, but we would have a maintenance agreement for this sedimentation basin or whatever you call it, so that we could basically clean it out every year and prevent sediment from ever getting to the pond. Now, I don't,
I'm sorry for chuckling, but that's a great idea. I mean, I really like that idea. That being said, I think the way water moves, yeah, I mean, I don't know how much you want to spend. You
well,
know?
the thing about spending money is we're going to spend money one way or the other. Okay,
Right, Right.
we've already spent over 600,000 to 650,000 on dredging the pond once.
yeah,
We
Right.
did that in 2009.
right,
And it's already filled in. Eyeballing it, it looks like about half of the sediment that we removed has returned.
half.
So,
Wow,
oh yeah, easily. I mean, we got it,
Wow.
we had depths out there of over 20 feet
Wow.
in some areas. And I don't think that there are many spots in the pond right now that would be 10 feet.
yeah,
So we're gonna have to go back in there, and we already have $700,000 budgeted to dredge it again. I don't even know if that's gonna be enough.
yeah,
And the development that will probably go on around the pond within the next 3 to 5 years is going to make it impossible to have any laydown areas around the pond. And so there's not going to be any drying areas. So everything that we take out of the pond, we're going to be shipping wet to somewhere, which is going to drastically increase the transportation costs.
right,
So that's why, you know, whether or not we can build a detention basin of any kind here, it's in an effort to lessen the sedimentation that's occurring in the pond itself right now. Because
Right.
this isn't gonna be sustainable in the long term if we have to keep coming back in here every 5 to 7 years. And redoing the pond. It just, plus the interruption in the business community and everything else. But when we dredged this the last time, we were closed for the entire summer. So we had no commerce on the pond for the entire summer.
right. All right,
And the summertime's the only time you can do it. You can't do it in the spring, you can't do it in the fall. Because those are high flow periods. So it has to be done in July and August if you're gonna drain the pond and dredge it.
so
Yeah.
let me ask you this. I mean, that's really great information, Mark. I mean, it's obviously somewhat disconcerting, but nonetheless important. It sounds like, and I just want to make sure I'm clear on this, that the pond is going to have to be dredged at least one more time, correct?
Yes,
Okay. So, and it sounds like you've got, as you said, 700,000 budgeted for that. I don't know what you've got in terms of you know, if you've banked that or if you got a capital improvement program in the town or
It's
how
in
you
the-
might levy that.
it's in the CIP.
It
It would
is,
be
okay,
bonded, there's no capital reserve for it.
okay. So, because here's another thought, and it's one that I've been privy to for the last 3 years that would be, I think, definitely would be a cheaper alternative for maintenance going forward, and something that I think the state would and the Forest Service would uphold and support. And that is to place coarse woody material in the headwater streams of Snow's Brook as low down as you possibly could to slow down the velocity, improve trout habitat, improve water quality, and drop the sediment out before it even gets to the pond. And it's something that again, Tin Mountain, who I work for, has been doing for 12 years now on first and second order streams. Now, admittedly, Snows Brook, third order, okay? But the stretch of the third order is not so great and not so wide that some engineering using natural materials couldn't be effective in even the lower stretch or lower reach of the brook. That being said, work crews that, we've done 1,000 feet a day with a one work crew in a reasonably good site with good access. Two work crews can easily do 1,000 to 1,200 feet a day. And constructing a project like this may involve a summer's worth of work, but in the long run, you would have, it would be difficult to quantify without doing more sort of engineering, design work, spec work on what the loading of that stream is, but it would take care of, I guarantee, most of that sediment concern as it passes under the bridge into the pond. That would be, of course, perhaps in addition to whatever, as you call, pre-sedimentation basins you create on that lot.
But how do you clean the areas along the stream where you put the material?
So you basically drop, and let's see. Let me get into another document here and show you what this is generally about. Here we go. So in 2000, and I think it was 11 or 10, we created a guide with the NRCS where, and this is just obviously a model representative stream, you place coarse woody material at certain angles and in certain patterns that reflect the natural configuration of the stream bed. And in doing so, you re-engage the floodplain so that high waters will hit these these semi-permanent dams, let's call them, and actually overtop the bank and deposit sediment in the otherwise disengaged floodplain. That is to say, due to high storm events over the last 10 or 15 years, most of our streams have become overly incised and there's a connection with the floodplain. So this type of action will, again, be semi-permanent as long as the logs don't get flushed away and they don't decompose excessively, and that's going to take a while. And then you place them at a frequent enough interval. We do 4 to 6 per 100 feet. So where there is no opportunity for in-current flows to move even fine sediments very far downstream.
Okay, and this is it's a great concept. I understand what you're talking about, setting it up, but you would have to do this in the case of Snows Brook, all on Forest Service land.
Right. That's why I said I think the
90% of it
service
would
would be supportive of it, but of course they wouldn't necessarily be paying for it. I mean, that's sort of I think the chit that you could offer is that we could, as we have done through the New England Rivers and Forests Foundation, and specifically the National Fish and Wildlife Fund, underwrite this with a pretty minimal cost share to have it done. We've done, I think we're up to about 20 miles of streams in Carroll County and Belknap. Trout
Well,
Unlimited, of course, has been doing this for quite some time throughout the state. But again, it's what I'm trying to get at is that there's another solution to the inflow of sediments into Corcoran Pond that I think, should be considered rather than sort of the end pipe, as you say, pre-sedimentation basin, which may or may not work, but it's going to obviously be a fairly costly engineering project to divert that flow from an existing channel.
And I'd much rather spend money up front on something that we don't have to constantly maintain as well. So if we did these sedimentation basins, we would have to have a permit that allowed us to go in there, and we'd have to go in basically every year or whatever. This is far preferable to what we were thinking about. I just wonder how quickly and how cooperatively the Forest Service is going to move to going to a system like this. The whole reason we're having a sedimentation problem, or a factor that has increased the sedimentation of the pond significantly, is the damage that was done by Tropical Storm Irene.
Yep.
And the fact that the drainage structures that are along the trails upstream of Corcoran's Pond were not sized correctly.
Yep.
And those trails were destroyed by Irene. And the scarring that was left, and again, this is all secondhand from other folks that are on the trails all the time, but the scarring that has gone on upstream on Snow's Brook is what's causing the sedimentation now. And in fact, the heavy rain that we had a few days ago, it was just, all of Corcoran's Pond was brown.
Right.
And that all came from the erosion that is occurring along Snow's Brook upstream.
Right. And so there again, that isn't going to go anywhere. As you know, that type of action, once the banks are destabilized,
Right.
and once you lose the connection with floodplains, then everything that would normally have overtopped and flooded out and been deposited on these smaller floodplains is no longer possible. And
Right.
so the incisement, the velocity, it's sort of a, as you can imagine, it builds upon its own, bad design in a way that increases sedimentation over time rather than moderates it or maintains a certain level of sedimentation.
It's the same thing that's happening on the Mad River.
Yeah, right.
And until
Exactly. It's
until-
happening on every major stream system in the state.
Yeah.
And the only places that it's protected, and that's why we have reference sites on our property in Conway, is in forests that have been left intact, that have adequate riparian buffers, that have woody material that is naturally cycling into the stream system because it has not been cut and it's of a mature age. And that is rare in our state, which is why we've never, knock on wood, had any problem getting money from the feds to do this, because it's in everyone's best interest that it's being done.
Yeah. So how do we convince the Forest Service to let us do this?
Yeah, so that's the, obviously $640,000 question. And the Forest Service is not a stranger to this. They've been a partner with TU in doing some of these treatments, as has the state. I mean, Nash Stream was probably one of the first sites in a big way that got from us, the Aquatic Resource Mitigation Fund, 6-figure grants to do woody addition treatments in Nash Stream watershed. And of course, that's a state property. So to be perfectly honest, I don't know how much TU has done with that, but I think it's something that can be done. And what I'd be happy to do is, call the right people, since I'm already working with all of the biologists in the Pemi and Saco districts, doing, as you know, stuff like for Waterville and Loon Mountain and so forth. Just see who the right person would be to talk to, and outreach to them to see if that's even a viable consideration for them going forward.
Yeah, because we're either gonna spend 7-figure amounts of money, or we're gonna lose Corcoran Pond. I mean,
Right.
we're
Right.
fighting a losing battle that's just getting worse as we go.
Yep. Yep.
And so if we don't address the upstream side of it, we're just gonna be wasting a whole
Right.
lot of money.
One of the things that is key, and of course, it's not, it's something that when the ARM Fund invests in this type of action, we can write into the agreements, the land use agreements, restrictions on logging next to streams. I'm not sure we're going to be able to do that with the Forest Service. And therein lies a tremendous, I mean, you can write all the best management practices in the world. The BMPs are right there. They
Mhm.
talk about even our state laws, section J6 say, hey, you can't cut more than 50% of the basal area within 50 feet of the stream along any 200-foot stretch. That's violated on a daily basis. And so, here again, we could lose, unless we have cooperative agreements with the Forest Service, we could lose the long-term effect of it by virtue of bad logging practices that they regularly allow on their properties. And I don't mean to sound negative here, but I've been involved with a case in Millbrook, which is not far from you.
Yeah,
And that's, a part of, it's on this Forest Service property where, they have regularly in their monitoring, what is it called? Monitoring reports, regularly come across violations to their own regulations and have done nothing about it with the operators.
yeah, I'm familiar with Millbrook. I know what's
Yeah.
happening there.
Yeah. So, but that's, I don't mean to say that's going to be a deal breaker, but it's something that we will need to talk to them about so that, when logging does occur upstream on
Yeah.
Snows Brook, all the good work that we do isn't taken
Right.
away.
Right. No, I agree. And the town would be fully supportive of that.
Yeah. Well, if you could, again, most of these NIFWIF grants that we've gotten, they're all 25% match. Tin Mountain has matched it by writing grant applications to the Moose Plate program,
Yeah,
which has been our primary source of matching funds. And the Moose Plate has been very, very generous to us, pretty much giving us what we want every time we've applied to them. But that being said, as you can imagine, more and more organizations, mostly municipalities, are jumping onto this bandwagon because they realize they can save themselves 6 or 7 figures on culvert replacements, bridge
Right.
replacements, and every other thing that happens when you don't adequately have enough short distance blockages and dams that are naturally based in your streams.
yeah.
So I'm willing to play ball here and see if we can get somewhere with it.
Okay.
I
And
think
certainly I can do so in part wearing my Tin Mountain hat, since we do a bunch of fundraising to pay me to do this already, and we're trying to expand our reach. We did the BB River, for example, with Fish and Game back in 2012 and 13,
Mhm.
and have consulted on that whole basin ever since. And so we're not too far afield if you catch my drift.
Yeah, no, if the commission wants you to do that work, I'm fully on board. I think it's money well spent, and whatever we need to do applications or whatever for grants, we'll be here because it's gonna
Yes.
save us money in the long run.
Yes, we're in favor.
Well, you better do a motion there, Ira.
Okay, all right.
Aye.
Oh.
Motion, next steps.
The motion has been seconded already.
Let's meet.
Do
the
you have a
forest people.
quorum?
Yes, we
We do.
do. We
We have a
do.
quorum in person.
Yes.
Good.
Hey, Rick. Rick,
Yeah.
what's 1,000 feet of that wood stuff cost?
We have generally charged out at 14,000 feet per mile, $14,000 per mile. TU gets about $12,500 per mile on their grants. But they have obviously a much different organizational structure and funding capacity than we do at Tin Mountain. I mean, they're a nationwide organization that had dedicated biologists and engineers on staff that do this type of work. Whereas
Right.
we at Tin Mountain have myself and my research manager, Katie Lewis.
Well, Ed, I can't imagine that we'd have more than a mile
Yeah.
of Snow's
I
Brook.
was thinking a
involved.
fifth. 1,000 feet would be about 3,000.
Yeah,
That's a
Okay, that-
bargain.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but if I look at Snow's Brook and then the headwater streams, I'm just gonna ballpark about 8 miles, something
Oh,
like
really?
that.
There's
8 to
that
9
much?
miles.
All the way.
Okay.
Oh, that would be awesome if we could,
Yeah.
I mean, even at that amount though, round it up to $20,000 a mile.
Yeah,
And you're still talking a fraction of what we're gonna spend
Yes.
Right.
over
Clear.
the next 5-6 years.
Right.
yeah,
Yep.
no, that's true. And so I can, what maybe I can do is actually do some quick calculations of, what the numbers would be for the amount of stream lengths, where we'd have to work, and find out information about, who the right people are that would need to make the decisions. I mean, ultimately it would be in the hand of the, district ranger for the Pemi district. And
Yeah.
I mean, Claire would have to be, involved with that decision. But I'm willing to find that out and see where we can go with this, because again, I think it would be a reasonable long-term solution that would significantly affect your bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking, if we tag this onto the dredging plan, you could dredge the pond and build these structures. It would add $120,000 to our dredging costs.
Yep.
But if that bought us another 10 years or prevented us from having to do that again in the foreseeable future, that would be short money comparatively, right?
Yep.
So 120 divided by, say, 750,000 by the time we're all in, that's 16% of the cost of the dredging,
Right.
Yep.
So I think it would be, if we could get the Forest Service to allow us to do that, holy cow.
So the NIFWIF grants are annual. They're on a September application timeline, same as Moose Plate. So it would have to come in next year.
Yeah,
The monies are released, or the notification of approval is in November. Typically, the monies get released on an advance basis beginning then December. And so that would be December 2022 that advances could be posited against this account.
Do 2023.
But so that gives us some time, in other words, Mark, to kind of
Budget anyway.
do some planning, lay the groundwork, get some, good estimates on what would be required, allow for, say, in 2022 summer, some visual investigations. What we tend to do is pre-treatment assessments of habitat, trout, biomass and density, and water chemistry. Those three things we tend to do in advance. And then after treatment, which usually takes, well, we start August 1st and try and end up by the middle of September. If we got a couple crews, maybe even 3 crews out there, we could bang out the whole thing in a year. And, a season, one season, low water season. And then we go in and do post-treatment assessments of the same biology, water chemistry, and trout, specifically trout.
Good. All right,
Okay.
I've got one question. Would it make sense to wait to do the dredging of Corcoran until we do the
No.
other, the wood stuff?
I don't think so. You're gonna have to do it anyway from the sounds of it. If, as you said, Mark, you've got that much infilling, even by the time we get
Have filled it
to
in.
doing the treatment, there's already mobile sediment in the channel that will naturally be going downhill until the point at which either there's a blockage, a diversion into a pre-sedimentation pond or detention basin, or an absence of inputs by virtue of upstream micro dams that are, from these woody additions. So
well,
it's going to
Rick-
take a while.
Rick, I think going to Ed's question though, we won't be ready to do the dredging for 2 or 3 years anyway.
Oh,
So I
okay,
think it'll all happen at the same time.
Yeah. that's-
okay,
That's
I mean,
fine.
just naturally, right now, I think it's 2024 in the CIP for the dredging.
okay.
So I think the timeline that you're tracking, Rick, is
It'll work
right
out.
on as far as but my only thing is timeline wise, we may need to move quicker because the development around Corcoran's Pond may happen sooner.
Yep.
So that's going to be the controlling factor from the dredging side.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
Right.
mean, if the developers come in there and want to build those 2 hotels on either side of Corcoran's Pond, we're not going to have any choice. We're going to have to go in and dredge it before they
Yeah.
build those. Because
Yeah,
it's going to be
right.
virtually impossible to dredge the pond once those are built.
Right.
Yeah.
No room-
In
no-
2009, how long did that take? You said the whole summer
It took 2
to
months.
do the dredging? 2
Took
months,
2
yeah.
months. But we were building wetlands benches, we were building fish habitat and everything else. So if
Yeah.
we just did a dredging project,
Yeah.
we would not be looking probably a month and a half
Right.
of construction time. I mean, it took over a week just to set up the diversion
Oh, yeah.
setup.
That's,
I mean,
that's often the
diversion
hardest
setup was
part.
huge. Yeah,
yeah,
So
right.
Mark, the soonest you could dredge would be 2022. Is that possible, or would it be more like 2023?
by the time we got everything permitted, 23 is more
Mhm.
realistic.
Mhm. Okay.
Because even if we started talking to DES today, I don't think we could get anything done in the summer of 22.
Sure.
And the businesses aren't ready for it either. I mean, remember, we're coming out of COVID. Everybody's trying to get their feet on the ground. We can't have the whole center of town torn up and no pond in there without talking to businesses extensively about this.
I'm
I
just
mean, you're
thinking
gonna-
from a synchronization standpoint, synchronization, it sounds like we could do both in 2023,
Well,
possibly.
maybe. Again, we're gonna have to, the businesses are gonna go crazy here. Because
Okay,
we're gonna ruin a lot of business time. And there are other ways to do the dredging. You can do it with a barge type setup, so you don't have to drain the pond. But
Right.
again, unless we have a proper laydown area and transportation squared away. And I don't know what the cost difference is between draining the pond and using a barge or, so there's a lot of questions that have to be answered here.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine that. Do you know how many yards came out in 2009 of material?
No, it's on the allot scale.
Yeah,
Lots to.
yeah. Yeah, I was
I
trying
mean-
to correlate because in terms of the upland areas, when I was looking at the viability of using lot 10-32C, I was coming up with about 250,000 yards it could hold in the upland area maximum. And I thought, yeah, that's not unreasonable in terms of the amount of dredge material you're gonna have.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That was, I know we have it written down somewhere, but it was a lot. Yeah.
and one other thing, Mark, I'll mention to the commission as well. There is an existing RCPP grant that Trout Unlimited is engaged in for the next 4 years. This is their year one. And last time I talked to Colin Lawson, who's sort of the New Hampshire, Vermont rep for TU, he said they hadn't solidified all the streams that they're actually going to treat for the RCPP. So, again, with the commission's blessing, I could just poke around, just call Colin up and say, hey, you got something lined up for 2023 yet? There's a potential in Waterville for doing this work, because he's 2 or 3 times actively sought me out to see if we had Tin Mountain had any ideas on treatable streams. And we've been working together in the Belknap Carroll County NIFWIF grant for 5 years now. So we work together quite a bit. And that's another possibility of an existing pot of money that could be tapped.
Yeah. Well, if the commission's okay, I'd say talk to whoever you need to talk to, because anything we can do to mitigate the cost is definitely gonna be a positive.
Yeah, we're in full support of this. Do you
Yeah.
need another motion, Rick?
No, well, it probably wouldn't hurt so that it's in the
Okay.
minutes. It
Okay.
really wouldn't.
All right.
Yeah.
I
So-
second that motion.
Okay, so I'll make the motion to pursue this action for you to pursue the agreements with Forest Service, DES, and whoever else you need to contact.
Trout Unlimited.
Trout Unlimited. You should
Trout
name-
Unlimited
Yeah.
I think you got it.
and,
'Cause-
Oh, Ed seconds.
Okay.
All right.
I'm on the commission.
Any vote? Any vote?
all in favor? Aye.
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 Kristen, I know it's difficult, but have you been able to follow any of this?
Yep, I have. I followed it all and
Okay, good.
I support it.
All right, good.
Terrific. Yeah,
Yes.
because they will, believe it or not, they do ask for a record of
Okay.
town support for
Okay.
both Moose Plate, if that ends up, and for the RCPP grant.
Well, we'll also have it as an agenda item on the October 13th Selectmen's meeting.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and look for maybe Eric and or John and Ed or Kristen, whoever can show up.
Mhm.
We'll have it as an agenda item and seek the selectmen's support of pursuing the grant possibilities with this.
Okay,
Is that a Wednesday, October 13th?
It's Wednesday, October 13th, and the meetings start at 3, Kristen, here at Town Hall.
Yeah, that's fine. I can make that one in person.
Yeah, you won't be here. Yeah. Yeah, we'll be there anyway for the Renewable Energy Committee,
Right,
so we'll
yeah.
be there.
okay,
So we're going to show support for pursuing grants toward, what do you want to call it, mitigation?
Towards-
yeah,
towards sediment mitigation, yeah,
yeah, that would be good. We call it stream enhancement / restoration.
okay,
That's
enhancement.
the general category we throw it in, and the enhancement is important because that kicks in the trout side of it.
Okay, stream
Which you-
enhancement and what?
Restoration.
Stream
Restoration.
enhancement and restoration.
Okay,
Yeah, and that's, it's purposeful because the New England Rivers and Forest Fund is not just about, water quality, it's about biology and recreation. And so that, if you had a picture of somebody pulling an 8 or 9-inch trout out of Snows Brook, that would very much go a long ways,
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
right?
Right,
Put one in there.
yes.
Yeah,
I believe so.
okay.
all
All
right,
right.
very good. There, just one other parting question, just so that I close the loop on that, and is simply the easement on the lot.
Mm.
You mentioned
Yes.
that there's an easement on 10-32C.
Yes, there is.
And if that's
Oh.
electronic, if you wouldn't mind sending it to me, that would be great. If it's
Okay.
not, then I don't know, maybe make a paper copy and send it in the mail.
Yeah,
Rick,
I'll find a way. I'll find a
Yeah.
way. John happened to find this through someone at the ski resort.
Mark gave this to me.
Oh, okay. All right, so it's in the registry. Book
Oh,
three.
okay.
Yeah, book 3076, page 519.
Okay,
there's
I can look
direct-
that up.
And
Okay.
that is a non-specific trail easement, Rick,
Ah, okay.
and it is in favor of the resort.
I see.
And that's.
So it's
where
not
the
a
difference-
development, it doesn't have any sort of development restrictions attached to it?
No,
Okay.
it's non-specific. It's just the ability to cross that property for the purpose of the cross-country ski trail, hiking trail.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right, so
Very good.
we'll be in touch. I'll send you a draft of the minutes to make sure I got the
Yep.
wording right. Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Thank you,
Sounds
Rick.
good.
It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Always.
You betcha. Take care,
Thank
you guys.
Rick.
Thank you, thank you.
Yep.
All right. I know this is, it's getting close to 5, but on the agenda, we have a quick review of the minutes. Did everyone have a chance to look at it?
Yeah.
Did you have a chance to look at it? Okay, so there was just a couple of corrections.
I was here for that.
You were here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you write this.
So to correct my error, it was lot 1032C. And then paragraph 5. Instead of magnesium oxide, I corrected it to be hydroxide. Does everyone see that in
Yep.
number 5? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Did we want to make any other comments? Oh, yes.
Any update on how that process is working?
Mark, do you have anything to add about that water treatment process, or it's still the same? We're still
It's
pilot.
working, it's working very well. The pilot program is working very well.
Okay.
We've saved thousands of dollars in
Right.
chemical costs over the summer.
Right. Right.
Because we did not have to utilize as much. I can't remember the name of the chlorine to
Ammonia,
remove the ammonia.
right.
It was all being done naturally.
Mhm.
So we are very happy with this, and it will be integrated into the new plant design.
Great.
Great. All right, so that's all good news.
Yeah, congratulations. too.
Yeah. Awesome news. All right, so we didn't quite complete the discussion on Greenbelt rezoning because this issue with sediment was slightly more important. And
And really, I think if there's no urgency on the part of the commission for this,
yeah,
I really don't think it is something we should pursue for 22. I think
Right.
there's the potential right now for some pretty complicated zoning amendments being
Right.
proposed.
right,
And I don't want it to get lost in the
right,
discussion.
right,
So it's a pretty easy change now that the town owns it, we're not developing it in any way, so there's no real threat
Right.
to the parcel.
okay,
If it's all right with the commission, I don't see any harm in waiting. Because we're
Okay.
basically gonna leave it green belt
yes,
right now,
right.
right?
So,
I mean, is there anything that you're concerned about?
I think we can move to table the discussion to next year, since we have all these other,
You're okay with that? I mean, we'll move it forward
Yes.
if you want to, but
I can, yeah. I can always bring up the question with Rick at a future time. Right
Yeah.
now, I think we have a full,
I mean,
yeah,
the selectmen will be very supportive. They want it to be green belt. They don't see any reason why it should not be.
okay,
So it's not usable for really any development purpose. So that's the natural way to
yeah,
utilize the land. So if
right,
you want to put it on for 22, we can propose that. It's just,
yeah,
it's not
Right.
critical that it get done.
right,
So why don't we
Well,
leave it to the planning board? And if they do get involved in some complicated zoning amendments on
Mhm.
other projects, right, John? Like they've been talking about,
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
we
okay.
will move it forward if it seems like the right time, but just
Okay.
leave it up to them,
yeah. So,
okay?
yes, moving forward. Lisa, thank you for your patience. And John and Lisa have something to speak about. Yeah, you do. You have to speak about the master plan and the commission. Are you guys not ready?
What question, actually?
No, you're not? I thought you knew this. Lisa, do you have something to say about that?
I thought we had some kind of, what is our aim, actually? But I wrote down some points for me to see what is important
Okay,
for conservation.
right,
So I put down one of the most valuable natural resources we have are the trees. We're in a forest, and I'd like to see the trees protected
yeah,
when people are building houses or
Right.
condominiums as much as we can.
right,
And
Okay.
have the same kind of trees and not have a new kind of plant coming in. It's
Mhm.
always dangerous. That makes sense.
Mhm.
Does the master plan speak to that at all?
Well, again, the master plan is, we're still developing it for the 10-year stretch.
Right, yes.
So Lisa and I are on that plan. And that's why we're trying to put a few things together
Okay,
to project that information.
okay,
So that's what we would like to do.
all
Well,
right.
does
Yeah, and
anyone,
People that-
would anyone like to take on looking for other language that other towns use
Mhm.
so that it could be integrated into our master plan? Have you guys looked at other towns' master plans and how they talk about trees and that sort of thing within the master plan? Because other towns have
Yeah.
town forests or whatever that are a key part of the master plan, right? But they don't have the resource of the national forest that we do all around here.
Right.
But I'm just not sure what changes you would want to make or that the commission would be looking to make as you rewrite the master plan. What?
Yeah.
And the conservation chapter of the master plan is a lot more involved than just the trees.
Yeah.
Right.
But I have another point. It's the erosion. When I look at some of the buildings, some houses going up, I wonder how well they take care of erosion of the, and especially on the hills they have all around us. It looks always very tenuous to me. You have this kind of buildings.
But I think for the commission to consider something or making a recommendation to the planning board, you need the language
Mhm.
that you would be proposing. Are you gonna leave it the way that it is? I mean, I have not gone in depth into the chapter, into the conservation
Mhm.
chapter of the master plan. But have you guys started reviewing the existing language? Do you think there's a lot of change that needs to occur? Or what would you want the Conservation Commission to do?
We're still actually working on that, so we really have to get back to you on that
Okay.
and come up with some more ideas and better language. But
Mhm.
yes, you're correct, Mark. Looking at other towns and their language would be very helpful, I
Yeah.
think, in this.
Yeah, because you've got the trees. I mean, I think Lisa's absolutely right. You've got issues with erosion that fit into other chapters within the master plan as well.
Right.
You've got the wetlands issues.
Right.
And so you need to review the language that is currently in there and mark it up and say, this is what we want to change.
All right.
Or we want to add a section or whatever. I don't know.
I'm gonna drop, guys. I have the PTA meeting at 5.
Okay, see you.
See you
Thank
later.
you.
Kristen.
Thank you,
All right.
Kristen.
So you're gonna need to
Right.
do that.
Okay.
And in pretty short order too, right? I mean, this needs to be done
Right.
in the next few weeks if you're gonna get it done for the end of the year.
Okay. Whose town's master plan would you recommend us looking at?
Um,
Many of them.
I'm not sure there's any like ours.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Power service all around.
I don't know, maybe Lincoln, Woodstock.
Yeah. Okay.
Just trying to think of, I don't know what Thornton has.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of towns that have rivers that are adjacent to the national forest or include national forest land.
Okay.
I think those are the three that I'd start with.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. All right.
Does that answer your question, Lisa? As far as,
Well, the thing is, I didn't find much in our old master plan from 2011. That's the one I got.
In it.
There isn't much discussed about it.
Right.
It's very
Yeah.
short.
okay,
section.
Yeah. So we'll try to look for more language.
all right.
Okay. Thank you for that. Privilege of the floor, if anyone has any questions, any comments. All right.
No, still nothing from the EPA on the treatment plant, so no movement in that area yet.
Oh, that's sad. Okay.
On the permit, no, that's very
Right.
sad.
Yeah. Yeah, we lost the momentum. You had some momentum going there.
Yeah, it's been pretty much a lost summer. We
Oh,
have no design work done, nothing. So,
Why do you think
Delay.
that is, Mark?
well, we were just notified a few weeks ago that the person who was shepherding the plan through the EPA has changed. And so they're trying to bring somebody else up to speed on it. So it could be as late as January or February before we get anything
Got it.
finalized.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to skip number 8, filling the posts of vice chair and secretary because we are still in flux. And
Yeah,
Becca Hastings is almost on the road, so
okay,
we'll wait. We won't talk about the signs for the lot just yet because it's after 5. There's no need to do that right now.
okay.
Date of next meeting. So if we're going to be in communication with Rick, do you think we need to set up a meeting or we can do this without a meeting?
Well, I think we need to get the information from Rick, and we should be ready to have a quick meeting to go over it in November. I
Really?
would tentatively schedule one.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Sure.
We'll tentatively schedule it. Let's look at November,
November 1st is a Monday.
November.
Yeah, November 1st would be a possible date, or the 8th, whatever
Eight.
works for
8th.
people.
Let's do November 8th. Okay,
Yeah, we're all here.
November 8th. Are you still here? Okay. All right. I'll put that in the notes.
Number 8 at 4 o'clock.
Yes, November 8 at 4.
I'm
And what
sorry,
I'll do is,
I shall not be able to come.
I'm here, what?
November 8th, I won't be here. I'm in Europe then.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. You might be able to Zoom if you want to.
I know I'm on a trip with a group
Oh,
in Europe.
Okay,
No access.
okay,
I'll keep you in the loop. I'll keep you in the loop, Lisa, what's going on, okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
okay,
It's one
Um,
week. I'm just away for 1 week.
okay, great. All right, so if there's nothing else, we can adjourn. Does anyone have anything else? All right, so it's 10 after 5 and we will adjourn. Thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
we're stopping the recording.